Well, hi Rainbow's Nursery, it's Stephen back to read you another Bible story. It's a bit colder this week, so I'm not out in my garden. I'm actually in the church reading you this story today. Now, 2 weeks ago, we heard the story about the good world that God made with all of the wonderful things in it. Birds and fish and animals and human beings told by God to look after the world and care for it. But then last week, we heard the story of how it all went wrong, didn't we? Human beings, the ones that God had told to look after the world and care for it, they disobeyed God. They didn't do what God said. And so the world all went wrong. And do you remember we joined in saying that together, didn't we? I said, "Oh no!" And we all joined together in saying, "It's all gone wrong." But the Bible story doesn't end there, because the rest of the stories in the Bible are the story of how God put the world right, of how God was determined to get rid of all the bad things that had gone wrong with the world. The Bible is a rescue story, and part of that rescue begins today. What's a rescue? A rescue is when someone comes to help someone else and stop something bad from hurting them. So here is an ambulance. An ambulance comes when someone's hurt or when they're ill, and it rescues them by taking them to hospital. And here is a fire engine. A fire engine comes with firefighters on it when a house is on fire, and it rescues people by getting them out of the house, putting out the fire, and making them safe. And here is a lifeboat. A lifeboat comes and rescues people when they get into trouble at the seaside. Perhaps they're stuck on rocks and they're surrounded by water, and it rescues them by getting them into the boat and making them safe. And the Bible story today is a story where God rescues people, and he uses a boat to do it. Do you remember before God made the world, there was water everywhere and everywhere was dark? Well, all of that started to come back again. Because human beings had disobeyed God, all of the good world that God had made started to come undone, with all of that water coming back to cover the world. But not every human being was bad. There was a man called Noah who tried to follow God, and God told Noah to build a really big boat. What a silly thing to do, the people around probably thought. Building a boat when you're miles away from the seaside? How silly. But Noah didn't listen. Noah got his wife and his sons and their wives to help him, and he probably spent years and years building a really big boat because God had told him to do that. And God was going to use that boat to rescue Noah and his family when the water came. But God didn't just want to rescue Noah and his family. God wanted to rescue the animals as well. And so God told Noah to get 2 of every kind of animal and to take them onto the boat. So Noah went out and got 2 lions, and then 2 tigers, and then 2 kangaroos, and 2 bears, and 2 parrots, and 2 guinea pigs, and 2 cats, and 2 donkeys, and 2 zebras. Noah went out and got 2 elephants. He went out and got 2 of every kind of animal, and he brought them back and put them on the boat. And then when they were all safely on board, we're told that God shut the door of the boat, and then it rained. But it didn't just rain a bit. It rained and it rained, and 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 it rained and it rained for ages, for days and days and days. And everything in the world was then washed away. But Noah and his family and all of the animals had been rescued on the boat. And they were on that boat for 40 days and 40 nights. And then the rain stopped. And the water started to go down. And eventually Noah sent out a dove. But the dove came back because although the water was going down, the land hadn't appeared again yet. A bit later he sent out the dove again. And this time it came back with a leaf in its beak, showing that the tops of the trees were back. And then later on he sent out the dove again. And this time it didn't come back, showing that the land had returned. And eventually the big boat came to rest on dry land as well. The door was opened and Noah and his family and all of the animals came out of the boat, and they were back in the world, and God had rescued them. And the rest of the Bible story is the story of the way that God would keep on rescuing his people, all the way up to the biggest rescue of all, which was when he sent Jesus to rescue you and me. But at the end of the story of Noah, God gave a special sign up in the sky to show that he would always be a rescuing God, that he would never flood the world again, but would keep on rescuing it. And do you know what that sign was? It was a rainbow. A rainbow appears in the sky when it's rainy and sunny at the same time, and they're made up of lots of different colours. And God said the rainbow will be my special sign that I'm a rescuing God, and I will always love you. Now, some of you made rainbows to put in your windows. A lot of people have done that recently to give people hope at this time. And the sign of the rainbow comes from the story of Noah. And we're told when we see a rainbow to remember that God is a God of rescue. So we're going to say a prayer now, and we're going to thank God that he loves us and that he rescues us. So let's put our hands together and close our eyes, and let's say a prayer together now. Dear God, thank you that you love us. Thank you that you're a God who rescues us. Help us today in everything we do at Rainbow's Nursery. Because that's right, Rainbow's Nursery is called Rainbow's Nursery because you remember the rainbow, and that rainbow comes from the story of Noah. So I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll see you next week for another Bible story. Bye!